house with a door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to play? What's the day?
It's Monday. Hello.
Hello. Just filling in some of the odd corners on the tree. Suppose you know what happens at the end of this week, because this is the week when Christmas comes. Let every pudding burst with plums, and every tree bear dolls and drums in the week when Christmas comes.
Let every hall have boughs of green, with glowing berries in between, in the week when Christmas comes.
Let every doorstep have a song, ringing the whole street along, in the week when Christmas comes.
Let every steeple ring a bell with a joyful tale to tell, in the week when Christmas comes.
Let every night put forth a star to show us where the heavens are in the week when Christmas comes.
Let every stable have its lamb, sleeping warm beside its dam, in the week when Christmas comes. And this is the week when Christmas comes. And this is a Christmas crib. Perhaps you've seen one like this. Usually you have the figures of Mary and Joseph in the crib, and also the baby in the manger, and maybe some animals who live in the stable, a shepherd, and 3 wise men. I've made a figure, made the figure of Joseph. He's got some clothes on and a shawl and arms. I've made him out of a peg, a dolly peg. If you haven't got a dolly peg like this, it doesn't matter, you can use pipe cleaners or sticks. It doesn't really matter. Now, I'll make Mary now. I'll draw her face on first. Here's her face. Little bit of glue. And usually Mary in the crib is dressed in blue, so I'll find a piece of blue material. I think that would do. Triangular shaped piece of material. Wrap it round. Spread the glue round it. And now for her arms. Pipe cleaner arms. There are her arms. Now if I stick her in a blob of plasticine, you see I'm sticking the peg in there so she stands up. Put her dress down. Fold it round, arrange it. Now, another piece of material, I think, for a shawl like that. Another dab of glue on the top. Now, if I stick that to the top, fold it round there. You see her face. And then something to go round her waist. A cord. There we are. Here's Mary. And Joseph, ready to go into the crib. And tomorrow I'll make the baby in the manger. But first, something very important for the stable. Something to go on the roof. Snow on the roof. It's very cold that first Christmas night. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago.
Have you ever thought how cold a snowman must feel, standing in the snow? Can't move about. Can't go in the house to get warm or he'd melt. He has to stand there and freeze and freeze. You be a snowman too. Stand up straight and very still. Stand still, don't move a muscle. Or perhaps just move the bits that people wouldn't see if they were passing. The more it snows, tilly-pom, the more it goes, tilly-pom. The more it goes, tilly-pom, on snowing, and nobody knows, tilly-pom, how cold my toes, tilly-pom, how cold my toes, tilly-pom, are growing. Tra-la-la, 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 rum-tum, diddle-diddle, 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 rum-tum-tum, diddle-dum. Tra-la-la, 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 rum-tum, diddle-diddle, 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 rum-tum-tum, diddle-dum.
Snowdrifts can sometimes be very deep. Deep enough to stop the traffic from going through. And that's what happens at the start of the story today. But first, have a look at the clock and see if you know what time it says. The shorthand is pointing to the 8, so that means it's 8 o'clock. But if I move the long hand a quarter of the way round the clock like that, and the shorthand just past the 8, the clock says 8:15. Once upon a time, there were 3 travelling players who travelled from town to town and village to village, putting on plays in schools and halls. One of them drove a van with all the props and all the scenery in it, everything they needed to put on their play. Things like thrones and beds and cradles and spinning wheels, everything they needed for their play. And the other 2 were the actors who performed the play. Now, one day, the van driver set out. It was very cold. It was snowing hard. He set out in the van, and the two actors were following on later by train. Now, when they arrived at the hall, where they were about to perform, they found nobody there. No van, no driver, no props, no scenery, nothing at all. They waited, and they waited, and they waited, and still he didn't come. And then they realised that he must have got stuck in the snow. "It's no good. We'll have to send the audience home," said one of them. Wait a minute, said the other one. "I know. I have an idea how we can put this play on." And this is what they did.
Ladies and gentlemen, the travelling players proudly present their new version of The Sleeping Beauty. Thank you.
My daughter, the Princess Aurora. One day she'll be queen over all this land, won't she? I think she's nearly asleep. I'll put her in her cradle. I'll put her in her cradle.
Oh, yes.
There. Now, I'll rock her to sleep. Alas, it is the Black Fairy.
Yes, who was not invited to the christening.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I think the invitation must have got lost in the post.
A likely story. No matter, I still have a christening present for the child. The Princess Aurora will grow up to be a beautiful girl, but one day she will prick her finger and fall asleep for 100 years.
The Princess Aurora did indeed grow up to be beautiful and happy. The Queen and the King made quite sure there were no needles and no pins left anywhere in the palace. But they had forgotten all about the old spinning wheel in the attic. What a strange-looking thing. I wonder how it works. Oh, it spins. This pedal turns it round and round and round. And the wool spins on and round and gets finer and finer until it goes onto here. Oh! Oh! Oh, I've pricked my finger. Oh, it's only a speck of blood. It's all right. It's not... Oh, dear. Oh, I feel so sleepy. Oh. Oh.
And so the Princess Aurora fell asleep for 100 years. And soon round the palace, thick rose bushes grew, the branches growing up the wall and peeping into the room where she lay. Then, one day, there happened past a handsome prince on a white horse. Whoa! Why, a beautiful castle. And the legend has it that inside this castle there is a beautiful princess asleep. I will hack my way through these bushes and find her. Hack, 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 hack. Now the door, hack. Why, there she is, the beautiful princess. I am Prince Charming.
Thank you for breaking the spell.
That is all right. Please say you will marry me, and we shall rule our combined kingdoms together.
I should be delighted.
Then we shall be married immediately.
And the audience were delighted as well. And the next day, the travelling players dug their van out of the snowdrift. And they'd enjoyed their performance so much that they decided from then on, every now and again, they would perform the play as they had done that winter's night.
Somebody else coming through the snow. Little Ted. And he's dressed for outdoors. What do you think he's dressed for doing? He'll be climbing up the mountain when he comes. He'll be climbing up the mountain when he comes. He'll be climbing up the mountain. Climbing up the mountain. Climbing up the mountain when he comes.
Big Ted. What do you think Big Ted is dressed for? What sort of travel? He'll be on a motorcycle when he comes. He'll be on a motorcycle when he comes. He'll be on a motorcycle, on a motorcycle, on a motorcycle when he comes.
Halty! What do you think he's dressed for? Here he comes. He'll be flying round the mountain when he comes. Flying round the mountain when he comes. Flying round the mountain, round the mountain, flying round the mountain when he comes.
And through one of the windows, you can see some people really travelling through snow. They're dressed very well for it. They're wearing hard hats with straps underneath and jackets and warm boots. What do you think they're travelling on? You can see them through the arched window. They're travelling on ponies. There's a lot of snow on the ground. The smaller one is a pony, and the larger one is called a horse. The dog seems to be enjoying himself. Going quite slowly now. There's a lot of snow on the ground. I should think it's quite slippery. Where's he off to now? The trees are quite bare. I just think it must be cold. They're dressed up nice and warm. He doesn't seem to feel the cold, does he? Jumping around the snow, quite excited by it. See the footprints in the snow? The girl's on a leading rein. I just think it might be a bit safer in all this slippery snow. Behind the trees, no leaves at all. Along a narrow path. See all kinds of things from a horse. Everything going by nice and slowly. What's he seen? Where have they gone? Where are they? Has he lost them? No, he seems to know where he's going. Off again. Some berries for the birds. And winter flowers. And they've come out through the trees to the open ground.
We're all going for a ride on the pony. Jig-jog, jig-a-jog, jig. Not too fat and not too bony. Jig-a-jog, 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 jig. We are going for a ride all around the countryside with a jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. With a jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. Whoa, Dapple! You like a ride?
Oh, yes, please.
Jump on, madam.
Right, everybody on. Right, we're ready.
Off we go. We're all going for a ride on the pony. Jig-jog, jig-jog, jig-a-jog, jig. Not too fat and not too bony. Jig-jog, jig-jog, jig-a-jog, jig. We are going for a ride all around the countryside with the jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. A jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. Turn round, Apple. Homeward bound. We're all going home on the pony. Jig-jog, jig-jog, jig-a-jog, jig. Not too fat and not too bony. Jig-jog, jig-jog, jig-a-jog, jig. We have all been for a ride all around the countryside with a jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. With a jig-jog, 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 jig-a-jog, jig. Oh!
Time to go now. Till tomorrow.
Bye.
Goodbye.